third story in the countdown contains what is hoped to be nothing more than a disgusting and disturbing coincidence. At least 60 people in the Northeast poisoned by E. coli, apparently from Taco Bell. At least 30 in Iowa now poisoned by E. coli from Taco John's. Taco Bell and Taco John's are not affiliated with one another. Even the outbreaks are obviously unrelated. 64 people got the bacterial infection after eating at Taco Bell restaurants in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. The franchise then pulled green onions from all its outlets, but the FDA is still investigating whether the scallions are actually responsible for the outbreak. So far, tests on Taco Bell products have come back negative for E. coli, though other white onions at a farm in New York State did test positive. As for Taco John's and the outbreak there, it appears to be limited to one restaurant in Cedar Falls, Iowa, leading to the Centers for Disease Control to believe that a single ill worker is responsible for having sickened 30 patrons there. The taco incidents, just the latest in a series of potentially deadly food poisonings. This September, 3 died, hundreds more sickened by E. coli in bagged spinach nationwide. Last month, tomatoes infected with salmonella sickened nearly 200. 3 years ago, 4 people died, 600 got sick after eating scallions tainted with hepatitis at a Chi-Chi's restaurant in Pennsylvania. Such outbreaks, critics say, prove the urgent need to fix the food industry by, in part, strengthening food safety regulations. Some incoming Democrats are saying just that even tonight. One of those calling for change outside the political sphere, Eric Schlosser, author of the book, now movie, Fast Food Nation, joins us now. Thank you for your time tonight, sir.
Thanks for having me.
You wrote an op-ed in the New York Times today, blamed the politicians for weakening food industry regulations. Summarize your argument for us, if you'd be good enough.
Yeah, well, food poisoning is always going to be a problem, but there's been a real breakdown in our food safety system, and that's because of too much influence by these food companies, meatpacking companies, in the last 5 or 6 years, and there's been a real weakening of our regulations.
The Connecticut Democrat Representative Rosa DeLauro says we've just got to go in and have really a top-to-bottom look at what's going on. Says the food safety system, quoting her again, appears to have broken down when you have these outbreaks almost every single week. First off, is she right? Secondly, what is it that can be done that could at least control this breakdown in the food safety system as quickly as possible?
I agree with Congresswoman DeLauro completely on this issue. Our food safety system has broken down. We need a tough food safety system with the power to test for dangerous pathogens, trace contaminated products back to their source, and order them off the market when they're found. Right now, the federal government does not have the power to order a recall of potentially dangerous contaminated food, and that's outrageous.
The FDA said today it still can't find a point of contamination in the Taco Bell thing, but it can't rule out the restaurant's contention that it was the green onions. Does this sort of symbolize the big problem with food industry regulation, that it's up to the restaurant to determine what happened, and the restaurant takes appropriate action? The government agency is in front of a laboratory somewhere looking for answers that don't really address the problems of the people who are at risk?
Yeah, we have basically deregulated and privatized our food safety system in the last 5 to 6 years, and it's a terrible thing. The FDA in the 1970s did about 35,000 inspections a year. Now they're doing about 3,400. There have been, just in the last few years, 1/3 of their budget for food safety has been eliminated. So we not only need to, insert spending in this area, but we need to consolidate the food safety responsibilities of the FDA and the USDA into one tough agency that's not controlled by big business.
And you point out, Mr. Schlosser, in the piece today, that the chief of staff at the Department of Agriculture and the old head of the FDA both had big ties to the food processing industry before they took their positions. Some people would argue that makes them more qualified to hold positions in that kind of regulatory authority. Others might say they have a bias in favor of the industry and keeping the business going. Is there a way to weed out candidates with potential conflicts of interest like this, or does that need to be legislated, or what?
I think there just needs to be a careful attention in which the first goal is the public health. There are some people in business who I think are terrific on this issue. Dave Thino, who is the chief food safety person at Jack in the Box, who came on after that outbreak, he's terrific. He would be great as a food safety official in government. But to have the chief lobbyist for the beef industry basically running the USDA today, I think that's absurd.
Kind of echoes other departments of the government at the moment. Eric Schlosser, author of Fast Food Nation. Great thanks for your time tonight.